All right, everybody, Jace coming to you live from the Artist Alley at New York Comic Con, best artist alley in the world, with my pal, Dean Haspiel, who currently has his one-man anthology on Kickstarter right now. Look at that. It's amazing. So, yeah, Dean, tell everybody what the Kickstarter's about, man.
Well, first of all, thanks for talking to me about this, Jace.
It's always great to chat with you, man.
No, you're a sweet guy for helping pimp my wares, all right? Yeah, New York Comic Con. This is Artist Alley, which is its own convention. I always say
it is.
You could literally skip the rest of upstairs if you wanted to, and just do this for 4 days
easily,
or vice versa, or whatever. Anyway, you got both, and New York City. Anyway, my new Kickstarter is called Antimatter, and it's inspired by the likes of like a Danielle Clow's Eightball, Adrian Tominay's Optic Nerve, and Jessica Abel's Art Babe. Do you remember those books?
Oh yeah.
And they were basically one author, okay, that would tell all kinds of different stories. And in Dan Clow's case, he would also serialize stories, right? Like you got Ghost World from Eightball, and like a Velvet Glove Cast in Iron and stuff like that, I believe also came from Eightball. And I've been kickstarting comics since 2023, when I basically quit comics to start doing my own comics, or just leaning into Dean was the whole mantra, right? And I started off with a book called COVID Cop. And then the second venture was Billy Dogma and Jane Legit, which are characters I invented in 1995, okay? Obviously, COVID Cop was me taking the piss out of the pandemic, you know? And then after that, I returned to a character I was doing at Webtoon called The Red Hook. I did a book called The Red Hook X Dean Haspiel. This is more of a speculative memoir kind of comic book. And also, these are all meant to be done in one stories where you don't need to know what happened before, and it tells an entire story, so it's satisfying in that way.
And if you want to get the vibe of New York City, Red Hook for sure.
Thank you. Thanks, Jace. And then recently I did Chest Face.
Yeah, that was the last time we had you on.
We talked about it. So with all these examples, I was thinking, well, again, the Dan Clow's model of Eightball, or the one-man thigh. I'm also thinking Don Simpson, Bizarre Heroes, you know, and tell substantial stories. So I knew that I had wanted to do a sequel to COVID Cop called COVID Cop Insurrection. Okay? Bear with me, please. By the way, these are all love stories, okay? So there's some hyperbole and some craziness as well, but
yeah, you wouldn't know necessarily by looking at Dean, but this man is a hopeless romantic. Hard on his sleeve when you read his work.
I'll take off my shirt. No, I won't. But here, there you go. But so I wanted to return to COVID Cop, but also was honestly a little worried that if I just started my next Kickstarter was only COVID Cop, some people might be like, nah, I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to do that. You know, and I totally get and respect that. You know, I'm taking two words, COVID and cop, that polarize a lot of people and come with like a lot of trigger warnings, you know? And of course I'm doing my thing when I melt them together, you know? But I was also like, well, let me do this story, and this will be the major story in Antimatter, but also because of all these characters I have, my pantheon, as it were, I also wanted to revisit a bunch of those characters, and so there's gonna be Red Hook stories, there's gonna be Chest Face, like I said, COVID Cop, Billy Dogma and Jane Legit. And then I have another character named AI Joe, all right? Like Artificial Intelligence Joe, like a G.I. Joe kind of parody, as it were, but it's more leans toward erotica, okay? And I did that originally, that story for SHP Comics that put out a anthology called Tales from Aerotech, and he gave me permission. So it's the only, quote, reprint that might be in the book. But because it's all small press, it's hard to find all these things anyway. If you haven't seen that book, you'll find it in my comic. And I think it'll be between 40 and maybe 48 pages, the first issue. And then what I want to do is try to do this twice a year, where I come out with this, like, it's not issues 1 and 2, it's more like spring 2026, fall 2026. And I want to make it like this magazine format. And it might even have some literature or text. I'm not sure yet, or photos. It could expand like that. I don't know. We'll see how the response is for the first one. And I'm really excited to be putting all these two characters in the same book. And eventually, maybe there might even be a crossover. Who knows, you know? So we'll see.
Yeah, so everybody, I'll put a link in the show notes. Go check out the campaign. You know, if you saw Dean the last time he was on, we talked about Chest Face. here's a chance for you, very inexpensively, to check out all his other work because it's all in one.
It's all in one.
Because, like you said, it can be hard to go and track down and
you can't find my books in stores, unfortunately. Exactly. So the way I've been doing it is with through crowdfunding, i.e. Kickstarter. It's like a pre-order that you get mailed to your house, okay, eventually. Or the only other way you can get it is at a show like New York Comic Con or a smaller show. And I'm going to try and get around other spaces, but that's the only way that you can get these comics are from me directly, right? And I need to figure out how to work with retailers where it justifies the cost, to be honest, Yeah. So right now I'm doing these 24 to 48 page pamphlets, as it were. Eventually, maybe I'll be able to collect some of these stories into book format, that would then be in bookstores and comic shops. I'm still trying to figure all that out, It's like I went from a creator to being a businessman, and it's not that easy.
No.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you do a Kickstarter crowdfund, you have a set limited print run.
Yeah.
You can't afford to be not only printing a ton, but then you got to pay to store them somewhere.
Right.
And that sort of thing. So this is the perfect avenue, everybody. You want to get a chance to check out Dean's work if you're not familiar with it, or maybe you've only read Chest Space, or you've only read Red Hook on Webtoon. Now's your chance to dip in. To some of these other worlds that Dean...
And these all are new stories. They're all new stories.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Even previous fans, new fans, whatever, So
yeah, like maybe you've only read Chest Space. Maybe you've only read Red Hook before. Here's your chance to find out what some of his other stuff is, and then maybe be able to go and track it down or run into you at a show and pick up copies of...
Right. And not only comics, I'm continuing to write plays that I might try to direct one. I'm also dabbling in film, So it's all storytelling mediums, So yeah, I'm hopscotching all over the place, but comics are my first true love.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, as we're closing down here, Dean, remind everybody what's the best place to follow you to know what's going on.
The best place you can find me easily Instagram, Dean Haspiel _art, or at Substack, where I publish like 2 times a month a newsletter. And I let you know what's going on, or sometimes there's original material in there, depending, an essay, an interview, whatever, It runs the gamut as well. I really love this idea of a magazine format, that's derived from all these different social media spaces we have. It's kind of like you can curate this stuff and collect, and crystallize, some of these thoughts and historical aspects, Like we all, we grow up in public as creators and artists. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that we have.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff that a lot of people have not seen. You can never assume. So I'm trying to make it available.
Great. So I'll put a link to Dean's Instagram and Substack in the show notes as well, everybody. So go there and check it out. Hey, thanks for chatting with me, man.
Thank you so much, Jace.